I stood on our front porch observing a furious woman shove her phone in my dad's face screaming, "He's hacking the network. He locked me out." My dad, Frank, smiled calmly and said, "Ma'am, I'm the sheriff." Nancy Miller had called 911 on the county sheriff for altering his own Wi-Fi password. You'd think that'd be the end, but no, it was just the prelude. This wasn't a movie, it was what occurs when a wannabe HOA, Nancy-style tyrant starts a fight in the wrong neighborhood. Oh, and I'm Ethan, the man who's private while she illegally watered her garden. My reaction, I flushed her system with sewage. That was just the beginning. I'm 23, fresh out of college back in my quiet hometown to assist Frank into retirement. He'd been sheriff 40 years, never lost a case. A local legend people either respected or feared often. Both, he was able to shoot the wings off a fly at 50 yards, then lecture it on trespassing after retirement. He yearned for peace fishing and coffee that lasted 6 months until Nancy moved across the street. She wasn't just annoying, she was a full-blown menace clipboard with an ego that could power a small regime. Her intro, "I'll keep an eye on things. Not nice to meet you within weeks." She gave birth to a fake HOA, despite no legal basis, printed bylaws, violation slips, and a 3D printed gold bag. B naming herself president. Her first fine, our mailbox leaned offensively. We're on a gravel road, our aesthetic is rust and deer feeders. Frank chuckled, fixed it, and let it slide. Nancy saw that as a dare. It kicked off with the internet. Frank and I established our own high-speed fiber when I moved back great from my remote job, and his old westerns. Nancy insisted everyone use her dodgy community Wi-Fi from her garage. We refused politely again and again. She said our signal disrupted hers next day. Her child, thinking it's hers, wanted our password for the community net. I told her this is private. He sued off an hour later. Nancy stormed over, demanding it for emergency use. Frank blinked. "You don't reside here, ma'am." She took it as war. We changed our password. Frank renamed it Nancy Stay Away for laughs. She lost it. Hugh the porch scene. Nancy screeching about cyber attacks, waving her phone like evidence. Frank in slippers with his world's okayest sheriff mug. She dialed 911, a man's tampering with critical infrastructure. The dispatcher sent a unit protocol. Deputy Ryan, Frank's old trainee, pulled up, saw the chaos, and burst out laughing. Nancy thrust her phone at him. He said, "Ma'am, you know who that is? A tech criminal, no retired Sheriff Walker." She froze, babbling on HOA supremacy. "Ryan, there is no HOA." She accused him of protecting a rogue agent calling for arrests. Ryan leaned on his cruiser. "Should I cuff myself?" I thought she'd retreat. Nope, Nancy evolved. Days later, she unleashed petty chaos, false citations for porch lights, notes on bandwidth equity. Then I noticed our well pump running over time. I dug literally and found a hose tapped into our backflow, buried under, with chips leading to NYs. Yards she'd pilfered water for her petunias. I might have screamed. But Frank's a strategist. We rigged a tank of non-toxic, stench-laden gray water to the auxiliary line with a plumber buddy. Next time she turned it on, she got a sewage blast, harmless but foul. She shrieked raccoons 3 blocks away. Woke up the hose, disappeared overnight. I thought she'd give up. Then a handwritten note materialized on our porch. "You brought this on yourselves," underlined. Thrice Frank sipped his coffee time to give her an example of what law and order is. It was war. I didn't expect escalation beyond sewage, but Nancy fed on drama. It energized her. Weeks turned into a suburban thriller. Her as the clipboard brandishing villain. It began small sticky notes regarding grass on the community, gravel road, fake violation citations regarding landscaping regulations. We've got pines and soil. Frank bumped them off under NY's greatest hits. Sitting low simmering, I was less patient, particularly when she marked our fence aggressive dog alert. Our 14-year-old lab friend spooks at butterflies. She'd have him bark at a squirrel. Then she said, "Our wind chime." Christmas gift was a network tower, intermittently disrupting her cameras, which pointed towards our yard and windows. I rang her. "Belle, turn those cameras or I'll report voyeurism." She slammed the door. I smiled. She'd gone nuclear somewhere else, stacking a fake HOA board with drama-starved neighbors. Community compliance officers with laminated badges they encountered in her HOA command center. A repainted shed every week, emergency meetings, birth rules. No private internet required HOA colors, future fence bans. Frank remained calm, gathering evidence citations. Flyers, recordings, I seethed. He nodded when a case and a book, a handwritten letter arrived. Additional non-compliance will lead to increased enforcement. A threat. Frank summoned the county to audit none of law legally HOA, but NY's fiction, 6 offenses struck in a week. Lighting, internet placement of mailboxes, my vehicle suspicious. Frank contacted Tom. A buddy. Code enforcement found NY illegal expansions. Cameras paid with pretend tech fees, and her communal Wi-Fi, a password-protected hotspot in attic. Paid in Cash. Frank had an injunction submitted in court to halt her HOA and demanded all her grievances. Neighbors, fined or perplexed, rallied against his evidence. Nancy put up an emergency meeting notice, compulsory, suggesting legal action against us. Frank grinned. Time to put an end to her HOA fantasy. Sunday at her headquarters, The Shed. Frank sported his old uniform shirt, not to boast, simply to remind. Nancy arrived late, sunglasses on folder in hand with 4 unwilling cronies. She complained about troublesome residents, see us citing a fiends, Wi-Fi, aggressive signage. Nancy, stay out, aggressive water usage. The hose she pushed, fines and inspections. Frank stood holding a paper. County investigation results. No legal HOA, no bylaws, just a scam with real money. He detailed her $22,000 plus in unaccounted fee. Cameras, flyers, shed. Neighbors demanded answers. Where's my $50 for sidewalks? My vest money, Nancy flailed. Emergency powers, dog lies, cyber stalking. I added her community. Wi-Fi is locked in her attic. Your tech fees at work. Oh, and she tapped into our... Well, I flashed on video, she cried. Frank call. State police bring handcuffs for you. She ran gaping over lawsuits. A for sale. Sign appeared, but Miss Chun, an acidic ex-librarian, queried Frank, what now leadership in the real sense? He smiled. I'm retired. Great. She stated a petition, landed dozens of signatures asking Frank to take charge of a legit HOA. He stood inclined to repair NY's debacle. Then a fresh neighbor crushed NY's mailbox, relocating. Inquiring Frank about rules, we saw him. Curtains twitch. Nancy wasn't around boxes, say tea, but no listing was there. Her car remained, lights flashed nightly. She was conspiring. A week later, our mailbox was emptied. Bills, packages vanished. Cameras recorded a hoodie figure at 500 a.m. Neon pink socks and ice patrol gear. Mr. Lopez's new paint job received red. Dye splattered. Another neighbor had to deal with a fake water violation report. Frank presented evidence, video sabotage, to the new HOA attorney for a restraining order and pushed a sheriff's examination of NYS rain at packed community center. Gathering complaints, gushed out fines against daisies, birdhouses barking. Nancy arrived in black silence. Frank brandished a folder, all phony money violation complaint lodged at county and AG. She departed, eyes fastened with his, inasmuch as seeing her ruse was through the county. Drew a stop, and aide dissolved her HOA and sued for $4,700. Plus in illegal monies, she had 30 days or jail borrowed from her home. Posted bare desperate, she disappeared in 2 weeks, piling sand onto her lawn as a last spite. Neighbors planted flowers, took her garden. Wi-Fi turned to Justice Network password. Good riddance, Frank warned the new HOA, lightly favoring peace. I moved adjacent, visiting Sundays. Frank on the porch, buddy, sleeping, new mug. Sheriff of Suburbia. A white SUV came in across the street, plate frame. Proud HOA president, I inquired. Round 2. Frank grinned. Let them attempt. Nancy was gone. Her chaos buried, but vigilance lingered.